All right, welcome to episode one of the Figuring Out Life podcast. I am your host, Jack Butler, and excited to be here with you. This is a completely new venture. I am honestly very nervous and working to figure out what this is ultimately going to be, but as a part of my own journey through this thing we call life, this feels like something to do and something that I hope others get value out of as well. So what's the purpose of this podcast? Why on earth did I start this thing in the first place, and why should you stick around to listen? Short of it is, I am just simply another human trying to figure out what this thing called life is about, find my purpose, and really just live a life that is of happiness and fulfillment, and discovering what that definition is for me, how that evolves over time, and the lessons that I've learned along the way, and that I continue to learn along the way as well. So my hopes with this for you is that you see some of your own journey in what I'm talking about, or I can help you move through your own journey with some of the things that I've learned, things that I'm struggling with, so that you just understand you're not alone in this pursuit, and that if you keep moving forward, I truly do believe that you find more of the puzzle pieces that do make up the life you truly want to live. So that's what the Figuring Out Life podcast is all about, is just making sure, really helping people find and move along through their own journey by sharing mine and letting you know that you are not alone in this. And I think it is a worthwhile thing to pursue, which is, what do you want out of your own life, and how does that change as time goes on? So a little bit of background on me. You know, been in the world for now 33 years. Born and raised in Georgia, went to school in Pittsburgh. Now I'm here in Chicago, and just literally figuring out life as it goes. I kind of followed the traditional path that my parents told me, which was go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and kind of move up the ladder. And I just found it didn't really work for me. I was, good at it. I had a solid job, was making more income than my parents at an early age, but also was just very lost inside deeply. And so kind of went about figuring out, well, if this isn't the path to happiness, and this isn't making me happy, am I just supposed to pursue this thing because I was told to? Or what do I do with this? What do I do now that I've gotten here, and the reality looks a lot different than what I thought in my head and what I was told as I was growing up? And since then, have been quite literally asking myself, what do I want out of life? What does this look like? And figuring that out, asking myself every so often, and pivoting in my own life to figure out, what do I want out of this? How do I know that I'm actually going to be happy? What are the things that I do truly value? And it's been a process. It's been a process of learning about myself. It's been a process of learning where my own boundaries have been blurred because of what I was told, and the beliefs that I had that were given to me from my parents or people that I was involved with growing up, and all of these things, relationships that I've had, etc., and unlearning some of those things as I've learned more. As I test the boundaries of exploring this side of myself or doing these types of things, what is actually me? What's not me? And so this is kind of the whole point is, I've been on a journey. I'm still on that journey to figure all of this out. And really at this point, it's about showing you guys what it looks like, and just being very honest about what I'm going through, the lessons that I've taken away, the struggles, etc., as I said before. So today's particular episode is just going to be talking about relationships a little bit, and I'm titling it Reason, Season, or a Lifetime. And so it's really around this framework that I heard a long time ago. I want to say I may have heard it from like a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, maybe. I don't even know. I couldn't tell you, but it's definitely one of those sayings you hear in life over and over again. Kind of one of those idioms that you're like, holds depth and weight to it, but until you really kind of experience the thing, you never really know what it actually means. But I'm just going to talk a little bit about what it means to me now in this season of life, in this phase of life that I'm in. So, a little bit of story. Yesterday, so I live in Chicago. It's the winter time right now, so it's very, very cold. Snow is on the ground, ice is on the ground. We very easily can get into 20s, teens, single digits, when we have a winter system that comes through. So I am meeting with a friend of mine who's also here. I love this person because they are really someone that I can go to just kind of blah about life. We're in very similar stages, but also different. He's about to get married. I've been married for almost 4 years now, or 4 years. Sorry, Sabrina. I've been married for a while now. We're both entrepreneurs, so building our businesses in different ways at different steps. But we used to work together as consultants, so we had that kind of past similarity as well. But we came back together, somehow reconnected after we had both moved on from our past consulting lives, reconnected, and then just understood and started to learn that we really just had a lot of things in common, a lot of things we wanted to talk about when it came to life. Again, figuring out life for ourselves and the different struggles, the upsides, the ups, the downs, the toss and turns. So we meet like once a month. We try to meet monthly just to catch up and hang out and just talk. And sometimes he's dominating the conversation and I'm listening. Sometimes I'm dominating, he's listening. Sometimes it's 50-50. But I love that because we're both just helping kind of iron sharpen iron, figuring out what are you going through? How can I learn from it? What am I going through? How can you learn from it? Asking questions to force us to think about things more deeply, pushing back on certain things, making us question our current beliefs and all these things in positive ways. And anyways, we got together. Mind you, it is super cold right now. I want to say it was probably in the 20s when we did this, and we decided to go for a walk outside, which is not normal in my opinion, but with him, it was totally worth it because I value the time that we spend. Not bad to get a little bit of a walk outside, but picture walking outside for like 3 hours together, walking by the iced over river that we have here in Chicago, and then getting to the lakefront where it's windy as all get out. There is literally ice and snow covering everything, and then walking basically up and down this river or this lakefront, just talking and catching up. Freezing my butt off. He seemed to be fine, but I was certainly freezing even with all the layers that I had on. But it was beautiful because that whole time was just a process of really appreciating and sharing what we were going through and dealing with in life. And in this particular instance, it was me talking about the recent happenings with my business and the realizations that I've had as kind of I've been making progress and made some good strides with a certain part of my business, but also realizing, one, other things had fallen off, and two, there's other areas that I'm going to have to venture into that I'm not necessarily ready for or didn't feel ready for, but understanding like that's really where my business needs to go for it to go to the next level. And this whole time it turned from that and talking through that into walking or literally slushing through the ice and the snow, and then it gets into we peel back the layers of why am I struggling with these things, what's the deeper goal that I have in mind, and calls out, starting going into more kind of self-reflection and figuring out like, okay, these are the fears that I actually have moving through, this part of my life and doing this thing with the business, and just again, drawing from his experience. And 3 hours later, we do, tons of walking in the cold, but I didn't mind it the whole time. We get back and I just remember feeling just a weight of gratitude. I don't know how else to put it right now. A weight of gratitude that I have someone in my life right now that I can go to pour out things like that and have them pour into me through our conversation, through helping me think about things, through sharing his own perspective and experience. And it was just powerful. It was just very powerful. As I remember feeling just extremely grateful. Still, like, the chaos in my head, and then him adding his stuff in added a bit more chaos, but it was in a good way where it felt like I had new tools to work with to figure things out. And I remember just feeling grateful that I have someone like him in my life, because most people don't. A lot of people don't have people in their lives that are willing to pour into you, see the best in you, see you when you feel like you're weak or you're messing up, and pick you back up a little bit and show you, hey, you can do this, and I'm willing to help in these ways, or I'm willing to just be your cheerleader for a little while. And it was just a very special thing for me, because my friendships, he's probably one of the few friendships that I have in the city that are just still here. Most of the people that I'm friends with, that I view close within my circle, are across the country, which is beautiful in one way, because we can be across the country and in different places, different states, and still catch up over a Zoom call or anything like that. But also, there's something to be said for that in-person time together. And I just remember feeling very grateful, and just saying thank you, like genuinely thank you, because we had reconnected. I want to say probably about a year, maybe a year plus now at this point, had these kind of monthly meetings that we've done, where we just meet up and we catch up. And again, it spans the gambit. It's life, it's relationships, it's our troubles, it's our successes, it's business, it's all of those things. And I remember just feeling grateful that I had someone to be able to share that with, and could really be honest and express. It wasn't this facade. It wasn't this, I have to present myself as the super successful or this, that, and the third type of person. It was, this is just where I'm at. This is honestly where I'm at and how I feel, what's coming up, whether it's good, it's bad, it's ugly. These are my thoughts and my feelings. And he just sat there with me, and he helped me process it and move through it. And the reason why this is important, because he actually brought up some of the relationships and everything, things that he had gone through. Because while we were talking multiple times, we were just kind of talking about the people in our lives, and the ways that some of these relationships ebb and flow, and some of them are surface level and not, and all of these things. And it just reminded me of the saying, people are in your life for either a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And when I reflect on that, it made me think about, one, the importance of surrounding yourself with quality people who are going to pour into you, and why that's important. Because again, this is someone that 2 years ago, even 3 years ago, I didn't have this person in my life, and now I can't imagine my life without them, because of who they are, how they show up for me, how I'm able to show up for them. And it's a beautiful relationship in that way, that I think is certainly in our modern era with technology and social media. You have your phone, and people get caught up in those things, and it just reminds me the importance of real relationships, not the Instagram manufactured, my life is so great look, but the real relationships that are in your life. And the importance of those things, but also the importance of surrounding yourself with people who are going to believe in you, who are going to pour back into you, show you your best self, remind you of who you are when you're at your best, be there to sit in the mud with you when you're going through the shit, and really make sure that you understand that you have people in your corner who want to see you be successful, who believe in you at the end of the day. And I know for a lot of people, when we sit down and the way that the world just kind of is working, it feels crazy, it feels chaotic. And those people in your life that are pouring into you and that really see you and want to see you be successful are so important, because it can feel overwhelming when it's just you and yourself in your head. I know, I can tell you, this happens all the time for me still, where I'm in my head thinking about, how am I going to do X, Y, and Z, be able to afford to do this type of thing, or what are people going to think if I can't do this, or can't be this type of person, or have this type of success in these different ways. And so those people who are in your corner, who just love you for you, and see the best in you, and help you bring that out, and call you out when you are not being your best self, or being a bit of an asshole or whatever it is, those are people you want to keep around, right? Those are people you want in your life because they're not just yes men or yes women saying, you know, yeah, everything you think of is fantastic. They're people who are going to hold you accountable, who see your potential and are willing to help you do the work to actually achieve that potential. So it's very important. And so who's, you know, what I would say for everyone is evaluate who you have in your circle, who you surround yourself with, because I think there's another saying of like, you are the sum total of the 5 people you surround yourself with, or the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's very true, because those are the people that are planting thoughts inside of you. Those are the people that are, you know, basically framing certain things. They see the world this way. You're around them, you're naturally going to start to see the world more that way as well. So very, very important to do that. But another reality of it, and why I titled this podcast episode, you know, Reason, Season, or a Lifetime, is just the reality of, you know, relationships in as they transition. Because one of the things that we also talked about a lot was how, you know, there have been certain relationships that, you know, you may have had for years, for a long time, and because you're growing and developing yourself, you're unlearning behaviors you no longer want or that no longer serve you, you're figuring stuff out, and it's just naturally leading you down a certain path. And a lot of old relationships, old friendships from high school, from, you know, college, from you previously lived in this state or whatever, sometimes those relationships end up growing apart. You end up moving down 2 different paths, and depending on the nature of that relationship, that can be very heavy to accept. It can be very heavy to realize, oh, maybe this relationship isn't going to actually last, or the value prop of the relationship, lost value propped. Anyways, like the value that you're getting from that relationship is no longer what it used to be. And I felt like, you know, it's been very hard for me to come to grips with some of those relationships because, you know, sometimes they're just for, you know, a couple of years because of where you work, the company you worked with, and they were work friends. And because you guys no longer work together, naturally you know, went your own ways, no hard feelings. But then you have other relationships where you guys have been through thick and thin. They've seen the best in you and the worst in you over the years as you have changed. And sometimes those relationships stick around, but there are also times when those also split. And when you have the memories and the good times and the experiences together, it can be very hard to accept the reality that you are just seeing the world differently. You're at 2 different phases, and that's leading you down 2 separate paths. And a lot of times what I see, what I've struggled with myself, is just understanding it's okay that that's happening. That it's okay if you guys aren't meeting as often. Now, if you want that, if you still want that to happen, yeah, you put in the effort. Like I said, I meet with my friend once a month. I have other people that I literally schedule things on my calendar, and we coordinate to try and make sure we can catch up with each other every couple of weeks or every month or every 2 months, because they're people that I want to intentionally keep in my life and can intentionally continue to connect with. And it takes that kind of effort, especially as life goes on, you get busier, you're living your own life. That's how I found how to solution and find ways to still stay connected with certain people. And with others, it's been like, do I actually want to do that, right? Do I actually want to spend the energy to connect with this person if it's not just because we happen to be working together or we were going to the same gym and connected this way or whatever that might be? And I have to ask the honest question of, do I still want to put in the effort to maintain this relationship? And I think that's really a big question for a lot of people to ask yourself of like, sometimes these transitions, you are in a really good spot, and then boom, someone realizes they no longer want to go down this route. They start going another way, and distance naturally occurs between you guys in that relationship, and you have to be okay with letting it go. Process it, grieve it as you need to, but understand this is how a lot of relationships work. I can literally think back to each kind of chapter in my life, if you will. I've got, you know, high school, growing up, high school back home in Georgia. I've got going to college, and playing football and all of the things that happened during my college years in Pittsburgh. And then I've got, you know, life, career, being an adult, and getting out of college and kind of starting my first career. And then I've got when I moved away from all of it and I pivoted, and now I'm building a business and businesses with my wife and figuring all this out. At each chapter, I remember there were a ton of people that I had connected with, relationships that I built, but at each one, it's an interesting thing to reflect on. There's been a handful of people that have continued on into the next chapter. The vast majority of relationships, people that are good people that mean well, people that I had an honest relationship with, a good relationship with, we just moved our separate ways. We were circumstantial, or we were good friends, or it made sense, and then it just didn't, because we were just doing different things. But in each chapter, there's been a handful, right? Sometimes one or two, maybe up to 5 that I still stayed friends with and in touch with. And in each chapter, it's been the case where, 3, 4 of them maybe came into the next chapter of my life. And what I've just realized with that is it's just taught me that this is natural. It's natural for relationships to transition. It's natural for some of them to end. And so again, the whole idea of reason, season, or a lifetime, the idea behind it is that people literally are in your life for a reason. They're there to teach you something, whether that's something about yourself, whether that's something of like, oh, okay, I clearly don't like when people act this way. And so that relationship was purely for that. Or I had to learn this lesson around what it meant to be in integrity with myself, or to be open and honest. And I got burned in this relationship, and that taught me. That was the reason they came into my life, was to teach me that particular lesson. A season is, someone that is there for a season of time. In that time that you needed that version of yourself that you needed someone like that person, whether it was to teach you that lesson, or whether it was to show you the support that you needed to bring you along to the next leg of the journey. You needed someone in your life for a season of time. And that season can be, a couple of months. That season can be several years, right? And you never really know until the season ends, and you realize, you look up and you're reevaluating, how did we grow apart? And you just realize, oh, you were only meant to be there for a period of time. And then there's friends, people that you have in, your life for a lifetime. If you have a good relationship with your parents, typically that's going to be it. Your spouse, right? You want those people to be in your life for a lifetime. And those are the people that, again, in each chapter of your life, a few of them may trickle through. And a few of them may trickle through. And those are the people that 7, 14, 21 years down the road, you're still friends with them, right? Maybe some of the dynamics have changed. You guys have grown. You have kids. You've moved across this, the country, or out of the country, or whatever. But they're still there, right? They're still that consistency. Those are the people that are really in your life for a lifetime. And you're going to have a varying across all of them. I'd say lifetime's probably the fewest, right? You're not, like, most relationships are not going to be in your life for a lifetime. You're going to have a few more that are in your life for different seasons, right? Spanning different time spans. And then you're going to have a lot of people who are in your life for a reason. I can think of one person right now that I know in business that I can look at and I'm like, you are in my life for a reason. It's to remind me that I do not want to be anything like you as I'm continuing to build my own business and everything here. And it's a great reminder every time I see this person and interact with this person, because I'm like, even despite all the things, the good things that you have going for you, at the end of the day, I can tell that I don't want to end up being you, living your life. And that is the reason that you are in my life, is to continue to remind me I do not want that. So don't move in that direction, move in a different one. And again, I think I want to hit that home of, like, that is just how relationships work. That's what I found to be the truth when it comes to relationships and the beauty of them. And when you learn to let go of I can get that it can be hard, because people want to really be able to say, we had such a great relationship, I don't want to let that go. And sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to let that go. And sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes you're like, hey, no big deal. I get it. I saw the writing on the wall. We're moving in a different direction. Other times you're like, that one hurts. That one really hurts. I thought we were in a good spot. I thought X, Y, and Z. And what the reality is just showing you is that, hey, you got to move on. You've got to move on to something else. And I'm expressing this to tell you that, hey, that's okay. It's okay to grieve it. It's okay to, be disheartened by it, but it's also there to teach you and to help you learn that person was not, that person was meant to be there for a time. That person was meant to be there for a time. Maybe they're not, again, reason, season, or a lifetime. Maybe they just weren't supposed to be there for your lifetime. Appreciate what that relationship has brought you, what it's taught you, and what you can take away from it. Say thank you. I always say, always assume positive intent. I don't think there's any malice between what we had. I think we just grew apart in whatever ways that is. Whether I wanted that to happen or not, I think that's just what happened. And it's okay to let that be the case. And it's okay to then move on, because what I can tell you, even in the moment of going through it, what will happen is that as you continue to move down your path, you split with this person, that just means there's more room for someone else who's meant to be in your life in that next chapter to come in. You end up dropping off unnecessary weight so that you can pick up more weight and something that's more aligned to you down the road. And so always think about reason, season, or a lifetime. That's what I do, and that's how I see a lot of the relationships that I have. And that allows me to be grateful for every single one, regardless of how it plays out. And it also allows me to not worry so much if a relationship does end up moving in different directions, because I understand at the end of the day, people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So that's it for episode 1. Hopefully this was useful. Again, this is a new concept that I am just doing out there because it's been put on my heart, and enough people in my world have told me that I should do something like this. So we're doing the thing. We're going to do it sloppy, unprofessional, all the things, and we're going to get better in time. But thank you so much if you stayed all the way through. I genuinely appreciate it. And here's to more figuring out life as we go through the journey together. So thanks for being here. All right.